The US President Donald Trump has come out with a comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. What does this mean for the future of Gaza, and will realistically the war really end? Joining us right now is the ambassador of Israel to India, Reuven Azar. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you, Aditya, for coming.
I want to begin by asking you about the comprehensive plan. You know, a lot of objectives in place. One of the first ones is the 72-hour deadline for the hostages to be returned after Israel publicly agrees to the plan, and Benjamin Netanyahu has done so. Do you realistically believe that Hamas will come on board?
I don't know yet, Aditya. I hope they do, because there is a clear path forward. Either they agree with this diplomatically, or there will be a continuation of our military campaign, but this time with international consensus. So we have great hope that this vision will be applied, because we had enough war, and we want to achieve the end of this conflict. We want a better future not only for us, but also for our neighbors.
But at the same time, when Prime Minister Netanyahu came out at the White House yesterday with Trump in a joint statement, he said, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. What is the hard way?
Well, the hard way would be a continuation of the military campaign out of a lack of a positive response from Hamas. What we have here now, Aditya, following this great breakthrough, is that finally, not only us and the Americans, but also the Arab world, the Muslim world, the international community, including Prime Minister Modi and many other countries, have joined this vision of stabilization, have joined this vision of getting back the hostages, getting rid of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, no role for Hamas in the future government, a program for de-radicalization of Gaza. That is very important. And that can actually create a realistic path for peace, and not an unrealistic one that we've been seeing in the past. We committed many mistakes in the past when we actually relinquished power without making sure that there is a reformed Palestinian government. Now we have a new chance. I hope that they grab the chance.
Well, when I met Prime Minister Netanyahu last month in Jerusalem, he said that we are not going to occupy Gaza. We will have a new kind of an international system out here. Are you referring to an international force that could take shape? Along with the IDF, could you see Arab world and the Muslim countries also contribute? We heard the Indonesian president at the UN saying that he would be ready to give his force for this cooperation. So will there be a framework of a new alliance or a force that will take over Gaza, at least the security pattern there?
Well, again, here we'll have to learn from past mistakes. We already had an observer force, a peace force in South Lebanon for 47 years, which completely failed and is going to actually be disbanded next year. We have to make sure that the international contribution to peace in Gaza is based on solid foundations. That would be a Palestinian self-rule that would actually get rid of terrorist elements, because nobody is going to fight terrorism for Israel or for the Palestinians. Any international assistance is not going to get there to fight Hamas. Hamas has to relinquish power as a precondition for a positive international role.
The Palestinian self-rule model hasn't really worked in the past, at least in Gaza. We've seen the kind of violence that has erupted from time to time in the last 2 decades. But the question really now is about the deaths that have happened there. You know, hundreds and thousands of Palestinians, people in Gaza over the last 2 years have been killed. What will guarantee that the killings will stop now?
Well, indeed, there has been a lot of suffering, Aditya, from the 7th of October, in which we suffered the greatest, the most atrocious attack since the Holocaust, to the result of this military conflict that has created a lot of suffering and a lot of dead people. We want to end that. This can end if the terrorist organizations are disbanded, if Gaza becomes a demilitarized zone, if the local forces in the Gaza Strip, there are already, by the way, at least 3 militias that are fighting Hamas in the Gaza Strip. We have to create a situation in which Palestinians themselves in Gaza are committed to building Gaza instead of fighting Israel. If that happens and this mindset changes, then the sky is the limit.
We also heard the Prime Minister, in fact, express regret to the Qatari leadership. Was this necessary for them to come on board?
Well, apparently, yes. Look, the Prime Minister was very clear that we didn't intend to hit any Qataris. There was unfortunately one Qatari guard that was killed during that operation. We targeted the Hamas leadership, but I think that we were comfortable to present this apology because Qatar actually is committed now to the vision of President Trump. Our sense was that before, the reason that we didn't have a plan that is agreed upon before is because instead of putting pressure on Hamas, the sense in Israel was that Qatar actually is pushing for a continued control of Hamas of the Gaza Strip and not the common goals that we have. So now that we are all united around the same goals, I think that it was more easy for us to present this apology.
Well, Ambassador Azar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just tweeted, and he has said that he welcomes this comprehensive plan by US President Donald Trump. And if you can read, it says, the plan provides a viable pathway for long-term sustainable peace, security and development for the Palestinian and Israeli people, as also for the larger West Asian region. How do you see this statement?
I think it's a great statement. We are completely in sync with the vision of President Trump and of Prime Minister Modi. I think that there is no secret that we actually support the same principles: to reject terrorism, to engage in economic cooperation, in build up, in giving hope to people, in giving not just physical security, but also food security and economic opportunity to people, to de-radicalize jihadi elements. These are all, parts and parcel of the Indian policy, irrespective of Gaza. So it's only natural that we would join such a vision because we really share it.
Do you also see India's larger role in the economic rebuilding of Gaza? If at all there's a peace process that is achieved, do you think India's contribution in helping the people of Gaza and Palestine as a whole and India's strategic ties with Israel will help in this entire process?
Absolutely, Aditya. Look, only 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had here our finance minister that came with a very large team of regulators that actually have invited Indian infrastructure companies to come and build Israel. Okay, we're going to publish 200 billion worth of infrastructure project in Israel. And the Gaza reconstruction build is going to be at least 50 billion. So there are going to be a lot of opportunities for Indian companies that have proved themselves capable of building India to build our region as well. We welcome that.
But India has also, from the very beginning, been in agreement to a two-state solution, that Israel and Palestine should be there side by side. There's a right to life that they have. And India was one of the first countries to give legitimacy to Palestine. So will Israel agree to that? Will Israel agree to a Palestinian state?
Well, the gaps relay on realism versus theory. Okay? So even when you have a righteous cause, you have to create a realistic path to implement it. What this plan of President Trump puts forward is a realistic path, because we have committed all these mistakes in the past in which we actually weren't stubborn enough to see a reformed Palestinian society that will adhere to principles of rejecting terrorism, creating de-radicalization, creating sound institutions, creating accountable institutions that will actually be able to hold in a credible way a self-rule that can work for the future. Israel doesn't have a vision of controlling Palestinian life. We actually tried time and again to change that, to be in a situation in which we can allow Palestinians to evolve, to empower themselves. Unfortunately, this has been derailed as a result of the taking over by forces of darkness, by forces that want to destroy not only Israel, they want to destroy the entire region. They are challenging order in West Asia and in the world. And now we are united against that. That gives me a lot of hope.
Ambassador, you also spoke about the Arab world and the Muslim countries who were part of this entire process. They welcomed it, they issued a joint statement, and Pakistan is an integral part of it. Now, India has been a victim of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism for a very long time, but Pakistan has been trying to woo President Trump for a long time as well. Could we see a situation where Pakistan and Israel could start their diplomatic ties also? This is the pathway towards that?
Well, I don't know. I think that the fact that Pakistan also has joined the support for this vision is a good step, not just for us, also for you. At the end of the day, we have to have countries that haven't had a good record in terms of fighting terrorism to commit to fight terrorism. This is exactly what is needed. So it's independent of context. We have said that in the past many times. Terrorism cannot be contextualized. You have to be against terrorism anywhere, and there are no excuses for that. So if the declarations from these Muslim countries are serious, it's a good step forward.
My last question to you, Ambassador. If this deadline is not met, Hamas right now says that we were not consulted, we do not have the peace plan right now, but the 72-hour clock is ticking. Do you think after that the military campaign will only intensify in Gaza and you will look towards completely eradicating Hamas from the Gazan territory?
Well, I hope we don't have to do it. The 72 hours starts from the moment that the program gets implemented, not from right now. So we have to see whether Hamas accepts it. If Hamas accepts that, then the clock will start moving forward. And if not, we will have to devise another plan to continue our military operation until we achieve our goals. This is not a path we want to take, because it's going to risk the hostages, and it's going to include more bloodshed that we want to prevent. So the fact that we have a comprehensive plan, and it seems that some of the Arab countries are committed to put pressure on Hamas to accept it, is a good thing. I hope it works.
Well, Ambassador, here's hoping the war ends, the killing cycle ends, and the hostages are returned. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you very much.